Well, construction jobs certainly known to be dangerous and unfortunately here on the news, as you've heard a lot of times lately, sometimes even deadly. So in this week's Know the Law segment, Tom Sinas joining us to talk about the safety standards and laws in place now to protect workers. One we hear about often is MIOSHA or OSHA, MIOSHA being Michigan Occupational Safety
That's right.
Hazard.
And as you pointed out in your lead-in, we're hearing about this very tragically more often because there's been, I think, some high-profile, horrible tragedies in part of the construction boom that's going on downtown. So MIOSHA, same thing. What is it? Well, it's the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So this is our state-level regulatory agency that investigates workplace injuries and deaths, right? We, of course, have a federal OSHA, but we also have MIOSHA. And these are the folks who are dispatched to the scene of a workplace injury or death to investigate what happened. You know, what went wrong, and is there a certain penalty that should be assessed against the employer if there are certain workplace rules that were violated. And that's really kind of MIOSHA's ambit. Investigate and potentially sanction. So the employer can be forced to pay a monetary penalty. And then there's a whole appeal process that can happen after the findings are issued. Well, what about the worker or the worker's family? The MIOSHA investigation is not directed at compensating the worker. The worker has to look to other sources. So the most obvious place, of course, is our workers' compensation system. So what is that? Well, that's what we call, generally speaking, what's called an exclusive remedy type system. What does it mean? It means that if you're injured at work, you can seek workers' compensation benefits through your employer without having to prove that it was your employer's fault or negligence that caused your injury. Right? You simply prove that you were injured in the course of your employment. Now, the reason that it's sometimes called an exclusive remedy is because it means that it's very difficult under the law for an employee to file a lawsuit against their employer if it was their employer's fault.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right, so even if it is the employer's fault, the way the workers' compensation law is set up makes the ability to pursue that claim very difficult. Workers' compensation benefits end up being what we sometimes call the exclusive remedy. There is an interesting and narrow exception for liability of general contractors. And the law in Michigan as of today is that if a subcontractor or somebody working on a job site is injured in what we call a common work area, which is its own special legal definition, but a common work area. If the injury occurs in a common work area, then in certain circumstances, the general contractor may have separate liability to the injured worker, or heaven forbid, the injured worker's family if the worker is killed. So we have a complicated web here, multiple layers, but something to generally understand for anybody who's fortunate enough to have a job.
We hear about MIOSHA or MIOSHA a lot in the news, so there you go. Good reminders, Tom. Where do people track you down?
They can find us online at www.sinasdramus.com. Give us a call in West Michigan at 616-301-3333 or shoot us an email at info@sinasdramus.com.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Derek.